Well, I will talk about Milan, and the issue is that very often when you talk about tourism in Italy, they say, "Ah, okay, are you coming from Italy?" Yes. From where? From Milan. I've never been there. I've been to Florence, Venice, and all the rest of the world, but actually, of the cities. But actually, what is happening in Milan is very interesting, and I think is a way of looking at tourism in a different way. Well, the title of the presentation is the title of a video that the mayor of Milan is using to portray Milan and to show Milan around the world, and it's called The Unexpected, and actually is like ranking Milan compared to the other cities. I would suggest you to have a look. You can find on YouTube. It's quite funny, actually. But what has happened is to Milan is how Milan has passed from being attracting the factories to attract talents and tourism. On the left, you see one of these very famous movie, Miracolo a Milano, that was made by De Sica in 1951, and it's about the working class coming, all these workers, migrants, internal migrants coming from the rural area of Italy to Milan and facing the hard work in the factories and the very bad condition of quality housing condition. And because probably none of you has ever been to Milan, the other thing is that Milan is very famous because there is fog. If you now Google Milan and see the picture, we cancel the fog. This is the other side of Milan. This is how is portrayed now Milan. It's always sunny, and there are 25 degrees today, so it's like we are kind of managing this thing. But this actually has gone through a very interesting period, because I think Milan, well, if you see the population of Milan between 61 and 2000, well, the projection is 2021, you see that there are like a wave. Milan has been attracting a lot of people during the first, for this time, 1671, because they had a very progressive government, a very strong internal migration, and a massive housing expansion. And then in 81, we had a backlash, and we call it the dark period of Milan. There was the political dimension that played a very important role. Lega Nord actually had happened there. All the manipuliti, so the anti-corruption issues had started there, and the terrorist movement has had the heart in Milan. Actually, in one of the neighborhood that now has become a very gentrified neighborhood. And then there's been the process of the industrialization, so million and million of square meters that has been abandoned. Well, in 2011, shocking, we kind of realized that the number of residents has started to grow again. And everybody has started to say, well, but who is coming to Milan? Who is attracting Milan? Well, and we start to call it, in the new millennium, this renaissance of Milan. It's the political dimension is very important. I want to stress this aspect because the local government has a very strong role in the regeneration. There is a strong way of regenerate part of the city, and also this rhetoric of creative city and touristification. This is what is happening in Milan. The red circle is the center of Milan, and around the center, this is all Milan, we kind of pop up regeneration project, huge regeneration projects, massive regeneration project. you have on the right, you have the Bicocca neighborhood where the university, the university is. 5,000 new residents came in, 70,000 square meters were regenerated. And then you have, on the left, you have this other regeneration, a big regeneration project that it's called City Life. But how this project came out? Well, they took place through a very traditional pathway, I have to say. Well, first of all, using this attraction of archistars. City Life has been built by the, unfortunately, dead Zahdid Isozaki, the Bicocca project by Garibaldi, that now has won so many prizes by Boeri. But in addition, we had a lot of projects that were financed by the local entrepreneurs. This is something that has, it's quite interesting. So, because like the elite, the Milanese elite has kind of kept this power of controlling and planning part of the city. So Prada, that the fashion, has built a massive gallery, that it's the Prada Foundation. Feltrinelli has done a regeneration project. So you have this kind of new relationship between the cultural elite and the real estate. And then, as the rhetoric is going on, we had tried to attract also mega events. So in 2015, we hosted the Expo. But the interesting thing, and it's what I will talk today, is not that the legacy of the mega events, but the legacy of small events, again, where the local elite, cultural elite, is playing a very important role. And this has pushed the tourism to a very specific sector, the creative sector, and has connected the creative economy to the events industry. Sorry. This is, but this has paid some, there are some tax to pay to that, and this is the number of eviction that is happening in Milan between 1983 and 2010. You see how the eviction system and has going up, and also this is the landscape of Chinatown. That is another neighborhood, one of the ethnic neighborhood in Milan, and this is really in the cities, close to the city center, has been there for more than 50 years. And everybody thinks that this is still Chinatown, but we just compare the residents, the Chinese residents in Italy, in Milan, and you see on the left side, the red spot, that is Chinatown, and that in 2001, and in 2011, the red spot kind of disappeared, and the Chinese community has moved completely out of the city center. So this is one of the effects of this big regeneration that is going on. So, as I said, one of the economic drive of Milan is the creative industry. This is what is the scene at the national level, but Milan is, in Italy, the most important pole of creative sector. 4.5 million workers are located in Milan, and 1.4 million local units are located in Milan. It's the first region in absolute terms for workers, creative workers, and Milan is really the center of the creative industry. Well, what kind of creative industry we are facing in Milan? Well, there are some important features that I think has to be underlined, and they give us some hint for the future slides. Well, first of all, there is not one specific sector. Well, there is a kind of local system of creative sectors: fashion, performing art, fine art, publishing, interior design are all very well represented in the creative sector in Milan. But the other important thing is that this creative sector are not new to the Italians, to the Milanese scenario. Actually, what has been going on, it's a path dependency of creative sector that has been just reconverted and now labeled like creative sector. Well, if you go to if you go to the published sector, for example, at the beginning of 1950, 200 out of 400 Italian publishing enterprises were located in Milan. We are, well, the design sector, I will talk later about that. The design sector is really important, but it has always been very important. In Versailles, if you visit Versailles, in Versailles they say that almost all the chairs that had been done were coming from Italy, and especially from this area of Italy, on the north of Milan. So there is like a kind of long tradition that has been just reconverted in something else. And plus, the creative industry and the cultural industry is not alone. Milan is also the center of the financial system. So there is like a kind of interconnection between all of this sector. So how this has been possible, and how Milan start to attract tourists. Well, the big challenge that Milan had was that in the mind of everybody, Milan was just a big office, a place where people were going to work. It was the productive center of Italy, so people were not enjoying themselves. There was not leisure time. There was just a kind of very strong ethic of work. Well, the second thing, Milan had to compete with other Italian destinations that were much more attractive, had like a strong cultural heritage, Rome, Florence. And on the third aspect, Milan was trying to compete with the international cities, but at the same time is compared to Paris, London, and it's quite small city. So, but the incredible thing is that from 2008 to 2015, the tourist sector has grown rapidly. So how this has happened and why? Well, actually, in 2016, there was a report was produced by the Global Destination City Index by MasterCard, which was saying that Milan had more tourists than Rome, 6 million visitors in Milan compared to 6 million, 1 point in Rome. And one of the explanations was the Expo 2015. Actually, if you see the trend before, you see that the trend has started much before the Expo 2015. And second, other research has shown that this data obviously overestimate the phenomena. But anyway, the phenomenon of tourist attraction is happening in Milan. And there is a very specific form of tourism that is connected to the cultural business tourism. Well, what Milan has done has produced a kind of model that is between tourist and gentrification through events. So up in the green, you see that there is the creative and cultural industry. And Milan, as I showed you before, is in Italy leading on that. So what has been planned and what is happening right now in Milan is that instead of just producing and using as an economy driven, we use, Milan is using the creative and cultural industry also to offer events related to the creative and cultural industry, to push it up the cultural business tourism. And they do that through a very unusual way. So what they are doing is by promoting events that are not, they are targeted to the creative and cultural industry workers, but they are open as much as they can to the rest of the population. So what they are offering, it's a kind of events that they have an official part, that it's the business events, plus off events that are spread across the city that are used to explore the unexplored area of the city. So the events are becoming like a boost for regeneration. This is what is happening in the hot spring of 2017 in Milan. So there are 6 events happening in less than 2 months, and the number of visitors of these 6 events is impressive. But what is really important is that out of these 6 events, you have the first thing that they are not unique. These events, they are repeating year after year. So you have a kind of hot spring every. The second thing is that these events are all related to culture and creative sector. They are national and international events. They are not Expo legacy, because most of them, they are coming before, they started before the Expo, and they last at least for a week. So they are quite long events. And most of them have off events. What do we mean with off events? Off events or fringe events are events that are widespread and are collateral to the official events. They're alternative and parallel to the official events. The off events has started traditionally as to contest the official events. But actually, nowadays, the off events are becoming part of the official events, actually are pushing the official events, and they are actually helping the official events to become important. So the official events are now supporting instead of be controversial to the official events. This is one of the official, the system of official events. And I will now go to the last bit, and I will focus on how this old model started. Well, in 1961, Milan has hosted for the first time an official event called Il Salone del Mobile, which was a traditional fair located in a traditional location for a traditional sector, the furniture. It was hosted in the exhibition center of Milan, and this event was only dedicated to designers. Well, very soon, this started in 1995, this event became an off event, started to have an off event. The reason why they started to have this off event was because the young designers didn't have the space to show their products. So they start to ask to normal shops and galleries to host their products during the week of the fair. Just a few data to tell you how big is this event nowadays. In 2017, it's just finished, there were 1,461 events going on for 1 week in all the city. So the city was all turned into a big events. They were all over the city, and they were hosted by unexplored location. Well, they were mainly related to design, but not anymore just design. And on the left, you can see that the second picture, that it's the official and more traditional and old University of Milano, that for that week, they stopped the classes and they turned the whole university in a location for the Fuori Salone. Well, this is how the off events are spread. Yes, it's finished. Off events is spread across the city, and this is becoming an invisible process of gentrification. Every year, a new place, a new area is hosting the new events. Actually, it's what now there is a competition between the neighborhood in the peripheral area to host a part of the events, because they know that through that, people will know and will start to kind of invest in that area. This is completely invisible because there is no, it disappears after a week, but actually the story goes on for all the year. They start to label the areas, so they start to call it, there is a strong labeling strategy at the moment, and there is a strong relationship between the events organizer, the municipality that is helping, and the real estates that are using this way to kind of break into new neighborhoods. This is Zona Tortona, that it's where all started. In the 90s, this area was completely considered a peripheral area of Milan, and now the half of the houses are rented on Airbnb during the Salone del Mobile, and the prices has increased from, well, at that time that we were working in lira, but at that time was 1,000 lira per square meter, and now are 1,000 euro per square meter, and now there are 6,000 euro per square meter. So the price has gone up, and all the other neighborhoods are trying to use the same trajectories. So, to conclude, first, this risk of gentrification related to temporary events that have long-lasting effect, and are working on this idea, for example, in Milan, of polycentric city. So like pushing pushing the people in the peripheral area, but also conquer the peripheral area. The second thing is this hidden gentrification, because nobody is calling this gentrification. They call it just off events. But these are the negative aspects. The positive aspect that, to some extent, welcome this kind of strategies is that the residents are happy to share space for a week with the tourists. It's not that they have two different tracks. They're in the same track. They share the space together, but not often they hang together. So, and it's invisible because the shops are not changing. They change for a week, and then they go back, apparently, to their old business, but actually not many are going back to the old business. Okay, thank you.